Hello, this is Donna Sutton, the Bereavement Coordinator from Arcy Hospice. We are so glad that you are here today. Today, this presentation is called Facing the Mourning. The materials in this presentation come from the Heartlight Center. To order the companion workbook used in this presentation, please go to www.heartlightcenter.org. Moments that you are experiencing like this one are difficult. Having support in real ways to work through difficult times is very important. And this session and the ones to come are meant to be an interactive way and provide you tools so that you can use them over and over no matter what loss you have had in life to work through your grief. There are 4 sessions, and of course there are so many different ways to handle grief, but you have to start somewhere, right? So we're going to start with this first session, talking about grief and learning how to build memorials. The goal, of course, for these sessions are to find ways to express your grief, to allow you to feel the things that you're feeling and share your pain in a safe way, to confirm that your grief is normal and a part of this journey that you are on now, to learn how to live with the loss you have experienced and find ways to cope with it each day. Not everything we do will fit, but hopefully you will have a chance to see which one of these methods will work for you. We are working on building a plan for coping in the future and helping you to find a new normal. We want you to be able to take charge of your grief and live with it. So let's take a few moments and talk about grief. No one wants to be here. You lost your loved one, and you now find yourself in this strange place of grief. It may be your first time here. You may be sad or confused, maybe even a little frightened. People may be treating you differently, and everyone keeps asking you, "Are you okay?" And it changes all the time, and you just don't know what to say to people. There is no surefire way to get through this. It is a process, and what works today may not work tomorrow. The feelings you have today, they may change tomorrow, and everything you're going through is perfectly normal, even if it does not feel like it. But perhaps some of these truths will help you feel less lonely, and these truths will even remind you that you are not alone. So let's take a few moments and look at those truths. Truth number 1. No 2 people grieve exactly in the same way. You had a special and unique relationship with the person who died. Also, only you know how to cope with this loss. It is impacted by these things and maybe even so many more. The bond that you shared with your loved one, the need the loved one fulfilled in your life, the role the loved one had in your life. Maybe it was your mother, maybe your best friend. The role you filled. Maybe you were the spouse, maybe you were friend, maybe you were a daughter or a son. The shared history that you had together, memories that you shared, inside jokes that you enjoyed, traditions that were part of your life, and your ongoing bond. Your loved one may be gone, but definitely not forgotten. You also have to take into account your unique way of coping. There are many things to take into account. Your personality, strengths and weaknesses that you have, the coping style that you have, coping tools, ability to cope, relationship with emotions that range from happy to sad, anger, confusion, history of losses. Is this your first loss, or have you had many? Have they been recent or spread out? Secondary losses. When you lose your spouse, you also lost your best friend. You lost someone who supported you. Your support system. Maybe your best source of support lives out of town and you don't get to connect very often. Your access to resources. Maybe you're estranged from your church, or you're just not sure where to go to get resources in your community. Truth number 2. Grief is multifaceted and has the capacity to impact grievers in physical, psychological, spiritual, interpersonal, and behavioral ways. Many people believe that grief is only about feeling sad, and that is just not true. Grief is about so much more. It's actually an experience. It's how people know that something is wrong with them. You might have said something like, "This can't be normal," or "Am I losing my mind?" But grief is really the culprit. Grief can impact you in ways you're not expecting. Grief can be sadness, anger, guilt, relief, numbness, or many other emotions. Grief can have physical impacts. It can interrupt your sleep, appetite, memory, and focus. It can cause aches and pains. It can manifest itself as anxiety. Grief also impacts our social and spiritual lives, leading to questioning of faith, and it can put a strain on personal relationships between other family members and friends that we have. Truth number 3. Grief is not just about coping with the loss of the person who died, but also coping with the many secondary losses that you have likely experienced. When someone dies, it often sets off a domino effect of loss. Not only do you have to cope with the person who died, but you have to cope with the secondary losses like maybe losing a business, a home, a job, or meaningful belongings. It can also cause loss of identity, like your loss of your role as spouse or caregiver. Many grievers also cope with losses around their belief system, like losing hope for the future or questioning their faith. You may find losses of relationships with others who are still living, like friends who have become distant, or conflicts with family because of the death or the way things were handled at the end of your loved one's life. Secondary losses will be as unique to you, but coping with them is part of your grief. Truth number 4 is you are not alone. You may feel very alone right now, but we want you to know that there are people who want to help you. Some people you will expect, like family or friends, and others may be a surprise, like a stranger in the grocery store. There are times when you will feel let down by your support system, but try to remember your friends and family aren't trained for this. Try to provide them honest feedback, even though it might feel awkward. Tell people what you need, what would be helpful, and what is not helpful. Tell them, I need you to listen to me and not tell me what to do. If you find that your support system cannot provide all that you need, there are places in your community. Look to grief counselors, support groups, and grief centers for that extra support. Truth number 5. Things will never be as they were. Author Joan Didion put it well when she said, "Life changes fast. Life changes in an instant. You sit down to dinner, and life as you know it ends." That's not to say everything familiar is lost. It's just saying that some things in your old life are already gone, and some things will change, but some things will stay the same. You don't need to know which of those are going to happen right now. Grief is about figuring out how we bring our loved ones with us as we learn to move forward and rebuild the world without them. Truth number 6. There are no predictable stages, phases, or timelines to grief. People often want to impose timelines on their grief, asking, "When will grief end?" or thinking it will end after a year. People hope that the stages of grief will help them anticipate where they are and where they are going. It's tempting to look at it like that, but how could anything be so unique to you and your relationship with your loved one be so uniform? Rather than imagining stages or a timeline, remember that this loss is something that will be with you forever. It is something you will integrate into your life and become your new normal. Your symptoms will ease, and the way you learn to cope and connect with your loved one will change. But at times, waves of grief will come up every now and then. It can be unpredictable. It can happen 3 days from now or 30 years from now. Sometimes it will be as quick as hearing the rumble of thunder outside, and a grief storm will hit you. But then it will subside. You will learn to work through it, and each time it will become more manageable. Truth number 7. You'll always have a relationship with your loved one, even though they aren't with you physically. The truth is, whether it's been 3 minutes, 3 years, or 30 years, you'll always have your connection with your loved one. You will have the memories. You will always be impacted by the ways they touched and nurtured you. They physically aren't here to look at, to talk to, or to hold. And the pain of that is unimaginably hard. But in mind, heart, and spirit, as a part of your past, present, and future, they are here with you. Hold on to this truth. It is your guiding light that will help you move forward, and chances are it will become a part of the foundation of which we build what comes next. The first topic we're going to talk about in ways to help you cope with your grief is building memorials. According to Webster's Dictionary, a memorial is something that is intended to remind people of a person who has died, for example, a statue, speech, or special ceremony, a celebration of someone's life and work. A memorial is exactly that. It is a remembrance of your loved one, something that you can see on a regular basis and be reminded of the person who has died. It could be a dedication of your loved one. It could be a place that you go to be alone with your loved one, a place where you can honor them or think about them. It can also be a tribute or a shrine. Reasons to create a memorial are to help keep the deceased person's spirit alive. It could provide an opportunity for you to reminisce, a place where you go and you can think about them. It is something that marks an important chapter in your life. It also can bring a smile to your face, happiness and pleasure as you think back to where that object came from that reminds you so much of your loved one. And it provides you company when you are alone. When you're sitting there cuddled in the blanket Grandma made, it almost feels like Grandma's hugging you. When you're thinking about putting a memorial together, it's hard to figure out what the right thing is. So here are some memorial suggestions. There are just suggestions of things you can make or do. It's not an exhaustive list. And if something you find is perfect for you and it wasn't on the list, that's okay. This list is simply meant to get you thinking. There's a lot of things that you can make. You can put together a treasure box of personal items that belong to your loved one. You could make a quilt using your loved one's clothing. You can create a memory bracelet or necklace. You can make a charm bracelet that included the hobbies or special events, or maybe a bracelet that celebrates all of the places you traveled together. You can create a collage with pictures, letters, or other memorabilia. You can create a scrapbook. Put together all the pictures of the trips or the vacations that you took together. Write a never-ending book that allows family members to contribute their stories. Build a family tree display. Allow all of your family members to contribute a picture. Make a video or DVD of the pictures and videos that you had taken over the years with your loved one. Create special holiday ornaments that can be put on the tree and used to celebrate your loved one. Dress a teddy bear with clothing designed from loved one's clothing. Was your loved one a designer? Perhaps your favorite dress on your loved one you can recreate for a teddy bear. Make a stuffed animal from Build-A-Bear and include a voice chip, and on that voice chip use your loved one's voice. Perhaps you have a phone message that you saved. Make a calendar using family pictures. There are also many things that you can do. You can design and plant a flower garden or plant a vegetable garden that's full of your loved one's favorite foods. Your loved one loved carrots? Well, plant a lot of carrots. If too many grow, you can always donate the excess vegetables. Create a blog online to share stories, or write a love poem or a story about your loved one, and let other family members include their stories as well. Celebrate your loved one's birthday in a crazy and memorable way each year. Did they love to go on a roller coaster? Maybe you can make that an annual trip to the amusement park. Plant a tree in your yard, in a park, or at a school playground and watch it grow. Use watercolors, oil, pastel, chalk, or charcoal to make a portrait. Cook your loved one's favorite meal and have a party. Collect items in memory of your loved one to donate. Volunteer at an organization your loved one was a part, or volunteer at their church and be a part of the ministry that they loved. Organize a community memorial walk, run, bike ride, or food drive. It could also be a clothing drive or maybe a blood drive. Plan or attend a candlelighting ceremony. Create a scholarship fund in memory of your loved one. Perhaps they were a beloved teacher, and that would help students further their education. Make donations to a charity in honor of your loved one. That would bring special significance to one of their passions. There are also many places you can go. You can create a memorial place instead of going to the cemetery, such as a place in your backyard where you plant roses. A memorial plaque on a special rock at a park bench, or place a brick at a bench in a park that your loved one liked to go to and visit yearly. Take a vacation where your loved one always wanted to go and never got to visit. Did your loved one always want to see the Grand Canyon? Maybe it's time you made that a reality. Go to a favorite spot you shared with your loved one and leave a personal item. Maybe you go to their favorite beauty salon and leave some barrettes there. Create a special place in your home or garden to spend time alone. Maybe your loved one loves sitting on the patio. Well, maybe on your patio you could place a plaque, and it could be a special place you go to honor your loved one. The hardest part in building a memorial is getting started. So now that you have a few ideas on what you could do, spend time reflecting on your loved one and the things that made them special. Think about whether you would like to build a memorial, that is a place to go to, a thing to make, or a thing to do. You can choose several from each different category. Create a memorial space, even if you don't think you are creative. Whatever you decide to do, it's going to be perfect. You can make a list of at least 5 ideas for a creative memorial. If you would like, solicit help from family or friends. Share your lists with each other and ask them for input. Then maybe you could work on something that everyone can enjoy. Keep the list for later if you choose to think about it a little longer, or if you want to create more than one memorial. Maybe you create a list of things you want to make and a list of places you want to visit. No matter what you do, your memorial is going to be beautiful and perfect. The most important thing to remember is it's time to start. And if you need help, you can always contact me. Here is my email and the office phone number. I'm here if you would like to bounce ideas off of me, or if you would like to simply ask questions about building a memorial, or if there's anything I can do to help you get started, let me know. We can put our heads together and help you create something beautiful. Here are some resources that you can use. And of course, there are many more. And if you need help finding other resources, just give me a call. Here's my contact information again. Thank you so much for being a part of this presentation, and I hope that your memorial is beautiful. Thank you.